Everyone would probably think that zombies are a fierce, bloodthirsty species of the undead that specializes in eating human flesh. However, this is a completely different story. In this world, people who have just died are instantly revived as a zombie. The strange thing is that they aren't fierce or bloodthirsty at all. They don't even crave human flesh or brains or anything like that. They just wander and drift around the city, like people who've lost their souls and their minds. Some of the undead are brain dead and can't speak, while some are lucky enough to still have a little electrical activity left in their brains, so they can communicate with humans. That's why they caused riots demanding equal rights with humans. Because of this, humans came to view zombies as a kind of second-class citizen with a disability, the living impaired. In just 6 months, the population had grown by 175%. Even though they're the undead, they can still do jobs like begging, or hosting the weather forecast, or working as garbage collectors. There's even a zombie who works as an online escort. With bodies that never tire, never eat, and never need to rest, zombie labor has outstripped human labor and left humans jobless, with no one hiring them. To keep up with the trend of the times, the chairman of the Coleman Corporation introduced a kind of retirement service for the living impaired. There they would be cared for and have their health monitored without having to burden their families. That day, Maggie overheard a call about a zombie pickup from the Coleman Corporation's retirement service. So that night, she called Carl and Freddie to lie in wait and steal the zombie, swooping in ahead of the Coleman Corporation. While waiting for the time to act, Freddie bought a bubble tea to quench his thirst. Who would have guessed that the moment he turned his back, a zombie beggar knocked his bubble tea over, and on top of that, the guy even mocked him for it. Furious, Freddie recounted it to his friend, feeling like he was about to lose his mind. "You know what, Carl? That dead guy asked me for money, and he had a whole set of gold teeth in his mouth, and yet he still acted all poor. That's what really gets me." Still seething, Freddie went and snatched the gold teeth right out of the zombie's mouth. After that, the two of them drove off to Mr. McKenna's house, posing as Coleman Corporation employees there to collect a zombie. This was McKenna's father-in-law, so the two of them had to be gentle about it and not frighten him. Without wasting time, Carl immediately slipped a noose around the zombie and pulled him along, but the zombie clung tightly to his chair, reluctant to leave the family he loved. Seeing this, Freddie and Carl both pulled with all their strength, which sent the zombie's head flying and hitting Mrs. McKenna. This was completely normal, so neither of them panicked at all. Carl calmly nailed a wooden stake through and reattached the head. Once the job was done, McKenna happily paid the two of them. "Thank you both for the retirement service taking such good care of my father-in-law." Right away, Carl and Freddie took the zombie to sell to a guy named Donnie, someone who specializes in buying zombies to use in art. Seeing that this zombie had already lost its head, Donnie lowballed them, paying only half the going market rate. Since this was stolen property, Carl and Freddie had no choice but to accept it. Meanwhile, the two actual Coleman Corporation employees arrived at the McKenna house, only to find that the father-in-law had already been collected by someone else. Only Mrs. McKenna was left. After this, the two employees, Stanley and Rocco, were scolded and reprimanded by Hannity, a security officer at Coleman Corporation. All of this was because Stanley had carelessly let someone eavesdrop on the phone call, causing them to lose a customer. This mistake cost the company $25,000 in losses. So Hannity forced the two employees to earn that money back to cover the company's damages, or else face civil liability. Meanwhile, the trio of zombie thieves were leisurely having breakfast at the Potato 2000 diner. Now they were splitting the money from last night's job. It was because Carl and Freddie had damaged the zombie that they'd gotten lowballed like that. Suddenly, Freddie discovered an ear in his bag of fries. "Hey, does the owner want me to give him a 1-star review?" I'm sorry. I already scolded the employee about this, but he didn't listen." That afternoon, Carl was relaxing and opened his laptop to watch the zombie girl Zelvarella perform a seductive online sex show. He had just lathered on a bit of soap when suddenly Freddie burst in wearing a mask, wanting to play enraged hero. Right at this moment, Maggie overheard another call from the retirement service about a new client. Immediately, Carl and Freddie rushed over to swoop in again. Suddenly, both of them were shocked with a stun gun by a masked man and knocked unconscious. It turned out these terrorists had set a trap for the two of them there. They demanded that Carl and Freddie hand over $25,000, or they'd be executed by firing squad. But the two of them didn't care about the terrorists at all. Furious that the two fools weren't paying him any attention, the terrorist swung his gun around to intimidate them mentally. Who would have guessed he'd clumsily shoot himself right in the heart and die on the spot? The other one, enraged, punched both Freddy and Carl square in the face, and yet Freddy felt no pain at all. He even taunted the terrorist for being so weak. That punch had no power at all, weaker than Carl's grandma's. Hearing this, the terrorist came up with an idea and stunned both of his captives unconscious. When they woke up, they were at home with Maggie, and beside them was a remote control with press play written on it. "Oh my God, that's definitely a bomb, don't press it." "I don't think so. Maybe it opens up a porn movie or something?" In the middle of the struggle, Carl accidentally hit the button. It turned out to open a video clip showing the terrorists had kidnapped Grandma. They demanded that the three of them pay a $25,000 ransom within 24 hours, or Grandma would be killed. It turned out these terrorists were none other than the two employees, Stanley and Rocco. The one who'd stupidly shot himself had now become a zombie. But since his brain still had electrical activity, he could talk and communicate normally. With the situation urgent, the three of them went to find Donnie for work so they could get money to ransom Grandma. There was an art performance going on there, put on by the zombie whose head had come off the night before. Donnie didn't have any jobs to hand out right now, but his boss did, a perverted guy who washed his face with glitter, named Otto Maddox. He was a huge fan of the late actress Debbie Jones, the first woman to play Zelvarella. Because of this, Maddox wanted the three of them to go steal Debbie Jones's corpse. "If you succeed, I'll pay the three of you $25,000. But we don't know where Debbie Jones is. She's buried in a cemetery owned by the Coleman Corporation." Hearing this, Maggie pushed the price up to $50,000, since the place had extremely tight security. Being such a big fan of Debbie Jones, Maddox had no choice but to accept the price. Without delay, the three of them rushed straight to the Coleman Cemetery that very night. Sure enough, Debbie Jones was buried there. At that moment, the moon was full, casting an eerie glow over the whole scene. Maggie would hack into the security camera system to keep watch, while Carl and Freddy quickly dug up the grave. By chance, Maggie spotted the officer Hannity conducting some kind of experiment on a zombie outside. Carl and Freddy had finished digging up the grave, but Debbie Jones was now nothing but a dried-up skeleton. In that case, she can't be revived as a zombie anymore, and yet Freddy wouldn't give up. He tried to wake Debbie Jones and ended up shattering her bones entirely. Right at that moment, Maggie spotted security guards rushing in. Careless, Carl got hit by a bullet right in the shoulder. With the situation now dangerous, the three of them had no choice but to flee quickly. That morning, the Coleman Corporation held a board meeting. Here, Hannity began laying out his views on zombies. He argued that they were essentially invaders, citing as evidence that the zombie population around the world kept growing larger and larger, causing social imbalance. That's why Hannity wanted the public to change how they viewed zombies. After speaking, Hannity presented last night's experiment to the board of directors. This was a project called Zoltan, aimed at creating a kind of gas that would affect a zombie's brain, which would make people see the undead in a different light. Who would have guessed that, midway through, the zombie exploded into pieces? Deeply disappointed with this result, the chairman decided to shut down the Zoltan project immediately. This left Hannity thoroughly bitter, since he had poured so much effort into the project. Who would have guessed that the chairman would die that very afternoon in an accident on his sex swing? This left Hannity secretly overjoyed. When the chairman was revived as a zombie, he'd already gone brain dead and couldn't speak or think, so Hannity seized the opportunity and took control of the entire corporation. Meanwhile, the three of them still hadn't managed to get Debbie Jones's body, so they had no money to ransom Grandma. They had no idea that Grandma, though a hostage, was actually living quite comfortably, dancing along with Rocco. For a supposedly hardened terrorist, this was really quite unprofessional. Stanley called Maggie's group to hurry them along to bring the money to make the ransom. In that case, you'll have to let us hear Grandma's voice, so we know whether she's alive and well. While the two sides were talking, Rocco messed up for the second time, and the gunshot ended up hitting Grandma right in the chest, killing her on the spot. The three of them heard the gunshot, but didn't know what had happened. Right after, Grandma was revived as a zombie, and luckily she wasn't brain dead, so she was able to answer the phone and call Maggie back. "You all heard that. Grandma's still safe, so within the next 8 hours you'd better bring me the money now." Right at that moment, Carl suddenly remembered that the online sex show zombie girl Zelvarella looked a lot like Debbie Jones. So the three of them rushed off to the Pleasure Forum Club. Since Carl was a very active, longtime member of the forum, the zombie bouncer let him in to meet Zelvarella. The moment she saw a man, the girl pounced on him like a starving dog after a bone. but with the other two standing outside urging him to hurry, there was no way to get anything done. With no other option, Carl lured Zelvarella along with the group to Maddox's place. Seeing the two of them paired off together, Freddy also felt a pang and wanted to make a move on Maggie. Not paying attention to the road, he accidentally ran over a zombie, its guts spilling out and tangled tightly around the wheel. Fearing she'd be implicated, Zelvarella ran off to save herself first. Carl immediately chased after the zombie girl to an abandoned park, where she suddenly leapt at him and kissed him passionately. Meanwhile, the two of them were spotted by the police. Thinking they'd be arrested for illegally killing a zombie, it turned out that wasn't the case at all. The officer had only come to help the two of them dispose of the zombie's body. Alright, no more obstacle now, you two can head on. Right at that moment, the two of them had just finished getting physical. Thinking his partner had been arrested, Carl knocked the officer out cold. At this point, the Zoltan project had made new progress, so Hannity was eager to see the results. He activated the death gas system to test it out on the chairman. The chairman promptly went berserk and ate the female doctor alive. Meanwhile, the four of them had arrived at Maddox's place and handed Zelvarella over. This zombie girl looked so much like Debbie Jones that Maddox didn't suspect a thing, so Maddox told Donnie to pay the three of them. However, Carl had a change of heart and didn't want to hand Zelvarella over after all, because after getting physical with her at the park, he had fallen deeply in love with the zombie girl. At the same time, downstairs, a zombie art performance was underway, with a huge crowd in attendance. Even Mother Teresa of the Undead had come to admire the majesty and grandeur of Shiva, the zombie god of destruction. No one knew that Hannity was secretly planning to release the death gas into this very place. So the zombies who breathed it in became wild, bloodthirsty, and craving raw flesh. This was the true nature of zombies. Only this way would people see zombies differently, no longer treating them as equals. Everyone up there was busy discussing why Carl had changed his mind, when suddenly Mother Teresa burst out of the elevator and bit Maddox to death. Seizing the chance, Donnie grabbed the suitcase of cash and fled downstairs, only to find the place is now swarming with frenzied zombies. They surrounded the dirty traitor and tore him apart, satisfying their hunger. Facing off with Mother Teresa, Carl didn't know what to do and crossed his hands into a cross shape. Come on, man, this isn't a vampire. Immediately, Carl grabbed a weapon from the statue and struck Mother Teresa's head, knocking her down. Suddenly, a zombie lunged at them, and Freddy and Maggie quickly grabbed a cow bone and jammed it into the zombie's head, spraying gallons of blood. By now, there were far too many zombies downstairs, so the four of them had to hide somewhere to plan their escape. Who would have guessed that Zelvarella calmly walked downstairs and grabbed the suitcase of money? Turns out, she was a fake zombie all along, but since she had type O blood, the zombies didn't attack her. With no other choice, the three of them had to risk their lives and go down to fight through the zombies to clear a path. Unluckily, just as they went down, Maggie twisted her ankle. Freddy fought hard against the zombies, trying to protect the woman he loved. Surprisingly, once Freddy put his mask on, he became incredibly powerful, just like Enraged Hero. Meanwhile, Carl unluckily ran into Shiva, the zombie god of destruction. He quickly dodged and grabbed a chainsaw to carve up the god of destruction. At this point, Hannity led a squad of soldiers in to wipe out the zombies, and in the end, only the three of them were left. Even Zelvarella had been captured. Hannity's purpose in leaving the four of them alive was so he could pin all the blame here on them. You're the real criminal here. I saw your vile Zoltan project back at the cemetery. At this point, Hannity no longer bothered to deny it and admitted to everything. He also admitted the sex swing had been tampered with by him, which was why the chairman had that accident. Suddenly, one of the soldiers behind him shot his own comrade and turned his gun on Hannity. It turned out to be Stanley. Taking advantage of Stanley's carelessness, Hannity threw a punch and snatched the gun away. Carl quickly aimed a laser pointer so Freddy could lunge in and snap Hannity's neck. Just when it seemed like it was over, Hannity was revived as a zombie and shot Freddy dead. Maggie grabbed the chainsaw and sliced off the villain's head, sending it flying into a trash can. Amid the chaos, with no one paying attention, Stanley grabbed the suitcase and hid in a corner, only to find out that out of the frying pan and into the fire, a zombie behind him bit him right on the butt. As for Freddy, luckily he was still alive. It turned out the bullet from earlier had struck the ring he'd meant to give to Maggie. In the end, none of the four of them faced any charges, since they had recorded all of Hannity's confessions. 2 weeks later, the entire world officially descended into the apocalypse due to the spread of the death gas. The zombies had now become extremely bloodthirsty and ferocious. Stanley, despite having the money, no longer had any way to spend it. As for our little band of super thieves, along with Grandma and the foolish goofball, they took safe shelter in Dave's diner. And that's where the movie ends. Today's story ends here. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.